So let's get rolling here. I am so excited to introduce Unity Minister, Reverend Rita Marie Johnson. She's creator of the Connection Practice, which was formerly Be Peace, as my folks knew it as back when we first started doing this at Unity of Stockton. Rita Marie received Unity's Light of God Expressing Award. Her book, Completely Connected, a bestseller, by the way, received a Nautilus Better Books for a Better World Award. Her method won the Ashoka, is that how you say that, Rita Marie? Ashoka?
Ashoka. Mm-hmm.
Change Makers Innovation Award, chosen from 79 projects in 32 countries. I'm proud to claim a place right by her side since 2012, actually, in support of her lifelong passion for and her commitment to turning generational pain into generational healing worldwide through the Connection Practice. She and I jokingly call ourselves Johnson and Johnson. Take it away. Take it away. Take it away, Rita Marie.
All right. Well, wow. It has been quite a while since I visited Unity of Stockton, and lots of things have changed, haven't they? Yes. I'm just imagining that you all have been through quite a bit of stress with the coronavirus, and I don't know if you had fires in your area, but we had fires here. And, you know, this stress has even been hard on my little dog, Millie. I want to just share a picture of Millie here so you can see my darling dog. So this is Millie before coronavirus and the fire danger. And this is Millie now.
Oh.
So, you know, it seems like this stress has been hard on all of us. And who knew that we would be competing to have the most fashionable mask of all things? You know, who knew? Anyway, you know, I'm happy to wear a mask to protect myself and others. At the same time, I have to admit that when I have a mask on, I somehow feel like I'm hiding something. And when I go to the grocery store and I look at all the people with the masks on, you know, I just don't have the same feeling of just ease that I do when faces are uncovered. And I thought about that. Why do I have that sort of uncomfortable feeling about the mask on? And I think it's because it reminds me of a dream that I had when I was in my 20s. In this dream, I was with my dog, Abby. That was my dog at the time when I was in my 20s, Abigail. And I was also with a friend of mine, Diana, who is cognitively disabled. Now, Diana, she just blurts out whatever comes into her mind. And that's just what I love about her. She's so honest and spontaneous. And so I'm walking along in my dream with Abby and Diana. And then suddenly we are in this large banquet hall. And there's hundreds of people there. And they're partying. However, it is scary to me. It doesn't feel like a party to me, because they all have these smiles plastered on their face like this. And I just felt terrified when I saw these hundreds of faces with these plaster smiles. And so I grabbed Abby and I grabbed Diana and I ran out of there. I felt like I was running for my life. And I was so scared that it woke me up. And so afterwards, when I processed that dream, I realized that the reason I so enjoyed being with my dog, Abby, and with my friend, Diana, is that they simply were not capable of putting masks on. They were naturally authentic. And so after really processing that, I committed to authenticity as a hugely important value in my life. But the question was, how do I do it? How do I stay authentic? How do I keep the mask off my face? And how can I be supportive to other people in keeping the masks off their faces? Well, I'd like to look here at a quote from Charles Fillmore about that. Here's what Charles Fillmore had to say about masks. He said, "We are all in our personality wearing the mask that conceals the real, the spiritual I am. Jesus shattered that mask and revealed the spiritual human being. He also taught the way by which we may all do what he did." So, an artist named H.G. Leyendecker had the same idea about Jesus shattering the mask. Take a look at this picture that H.G. Leyendecker painted. So you see in this picture that Jesus is helping the people take off their masks. And just look at the expression on his face here. Look at his expression as he's holding that mask that he's just taken off the face of this young man. It seems to me that he's thinking to himself, why? Why do we wear these masks that cause so much suffering and loneliness? Why? Why do we do that? So, what does this mean for us, friends? What does this mean for us? Well, first of all, let's look at why we put a mask on in the first place. There's a part of our brain called the amygdala, and I'm sure that many of you have heard about this from Sheila or in other ways, other sources. This is the part of our brain that is the fight, flight, or freeze response, that's trying to protect us. It has a positive intent. It's just trying to protect us. So something that I learned in the last year is that the amygdala is constantly asking two questions. Am I safe? Do I matter? 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 These are the two questions as we experience life and things come into our experience. This is what the amygdala is asking because it's trying to protect us. And it's actually saying those two questions 12 to 100 times per second. Think about that, friends. 12 to 100 times a second, the amygdala of our brain is asking, am I safe? Do I matter? Am I safe? Do I matter? So, as we grow up, we have things happen to us where we don't feel safe and we don't feel that we matter. And so we store those memories in the amygdala. And then as adults, when something happens that seems similar, then we get triggered and we tend to react. So on top of this challenge, we also feel afraid that somebody's going to find out that we don't feel safe or that we don't feel that we matter, that we feel unworthy. And that makes us even more afraid and feeling vulnerable. So we put that mask on and we think it's going to protect us. We do it really because we love ourselves. Because we love ourselves, we're trying to protect ourselves. And we have this false idea that the mask is going to protect us, going to take care of us. And of course, we know it doesn't. And actually, it's very lonely. When we're behind that mask, it's lonely. We feel separate. We feel hidden. We don't feel worthy. We don't know that we matter when we're in hiding. And so Jesus came to tell us that we are ultimately safe and that we always matter because we are the living Christ. We have no need for that mask. So if we believe that message, then why do we put that mask on anyway? Why do we do that? Could it be because we need to get better at helping each other reassure that part of our brain that is scared? That we need to get better at helping each other like Jesus did. You know, in that picture, the people, they weren't doing it alone. They had another person there helping them to release that mask. And in that case, the person was Jesus. Well, as many of you know, I developed the connection practice, and obviously it's right here on my room divider. And the connection practice is this combination of empathy and insight that equals connection. And it's to help us meet challenges in our life so that we're not reacting out of fear. And so the connection practice also helps us to drop our masks and helps us learn how to help other people drop their masks. You know, a few years ago, I was in a situation where my mask went right on my face because my nonprofit was in a partnership with another nonprofit. And this other nonprofit was struggling financially, and they needed to make a new agreement with us, which was fine. And so they assigned a man, let's call him Victor, to sit down with me and to forge a new agreement between the two organizations. So we sat down for our first meeting, and Victor started talking. And I was surprised that right away he started talking negatively about people that we both knew. And so that was kind of unsettling. And then he went off on personal tangents all over the place, you know, talking about anything but what we were supposed to be doing. And when I tried to bring him back to the task at hand, he said, well, your work won't go anywhere without us. So in that moment, my amygdala went into freeze mode. I just went, oh my gosh, what is this man about? And so as a result, we didn't make any progress at that meeting. I just kind of shut down. So now it was time to go to a second meeting with Victor, and I wasn't looking forward to it. So I thought, you know, I want to be much better prepared this time. And so I'm going to do my connection practice before this meeting and see what I can do to get myself in a better place. And so I did. And in processing my feelings and my needs in my interaction with Victor, I came to the realization that my main need with Victor was emotional safety. That because of his talking about other people and his comments to me, I just didn't feel emotionally safe with him. So that was my need. And then I was guessing what Victor might be feeling and needing. And I got to the conclusion that perhaps Victor's main need was to matter. Because, you know, when you talk negatively about other people and you put people down like Victor was trying to put me down, that when we observe this in another person, it's usually because they have a deep sense that they don't matter. So they're trying to put other people down. And so when I guessed that, when I named that need to matter, I could just feel my heart open with compassion for Victor. Oh my gosh, this man, with his behavior, there must be a deep wound there where, you know, in some way, in growing up or something that has caused him to conclude he doesn't matter and that he has to try to fix that in this tragic way. So now I had my heart open to Victor, and then I knew that I had to get some better clarity around how to move forward in this meeting. So I wanted to get an insight. And so I did what's called heart brain coherence. I know many of you are familiar with that from working with Sheila. So I moved into coherence and I listened inside for an insight. And right away, the insight came And it surprised me because it was less is more. Now, I knew that phrase, but I had never once used it in my life. I'd never said those words. So I'm going, less is more. So I take my insights seriously. So I looked at my agenda that I had outlined for Victor, and I realized I had 5 different requests on there. And I thought, less is more. I better get that down. So I got it down to 1 request. So now I felt ready for this next meeting. I knew that I was going to take care of my own emotional safety by giving Victor empathy, because I know that when I give another person empathy, it's very unlikely that they're going to come back and attack me. So I could take care of my own emotional safety that way. And that I was going to go into this meeting with an intention to let Victor know that he mattered. I was going to be proactive in letting this man know that he mattered. And so I went to the meeting and sat down for the second time with Victor. And once again, he started off talking negatively about things in his own organization and tangents and all kinds of things. But this time I was ready. This time I just was very subtly just guessing what he might be feeling and needing, just saying, gosh, Victor, I'm just wondering if you felt frustrated and you really needed some support. Yes, that's right, he says. And I'm just wondering, if you feel worried and you need some stability in your organization. Yes, we do. And so, he was just with me now. I was connecting with him. I was getting into his world. And so then finally I came with my 1 request. And he said, oh, sure, we can do that. And we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do this. And I went, great. So now, not only had I made progress, but I had an authentic connection with Victor. Because what had happened is, because I'd simply learned how, I'd been able to keep my own mask off to make myself feel like I was safe and that I mattered. And I was able to contribute to Victor feeling that he mattered so that he was able to take his mask off. And so with our masks off, we were able to find each other, and we were able to make progress on creating an agreement between our organizations. So to come back to my original question was, if we believe Jesus' message that we're ultimately safe and that we do matter, then why do we keep putting our masks on? Isn't it because we need not only to believe it in our heads, but we need to experience continually through each other that we're safe and that we matter? We need the experience of that Christ message in and through and as us. And when we know that every one of us has that message going through the back of our minds, and we can get sincerely proactive about communicating, you are safe and you do matter, then those masks come off, friends. And each one of us can learn to be that person, that living Christ that removes the mask. I want to share an extraordinary example of that. Recently, a woman called me up who wanted to learn the connection practice. And she told me that she's single and she has 2 teens that she'd adopted when they were babies. That she adopted them from Guatemala. And they were sheltering in place. And the teens were just driving her crazy, all cooped up. And she had no money. She just had lost her job because of coronavirus. So just facing a very difficult situation every day. So I taught her the connection practice, and I could see that, getting connected to herself, self-empathy, empathy for her daughters, and getting to a place of insight really helped her. And then, she went on her way, and I didn't expect to hear from her. Again, I teach a lot of people that I don't hear from again necessarily. Some of them I do. Anyway, she called me a week later and she said, you would not believe what happened. I said, well, what? Tell me. She says, well, my oldest daughter let's call her Audrey. My oldest daughter is a germaphobe. She's been a germaphobe all her life. She's scared to death of germs. And she said, I've always told Audrey, there's nothing to be afraid of here. Don't give germs your power. You know, you have a strong immune system. There's nothing wrong with you. But she said, no matter what I tried to tell Audrey about this, nothing worked. She continued to be a germaphobe. So Audrey works as a food service worker in a nursing home. And Audrey had just gotten the message that they had the first case of coronavirus in their nursing home. And she said, Mom, I cannot go back to work. I am terrified. I cannot do it. I can't. And so this time, instead of offering platitudes, her mother, Jan, going to call her Jan said, okay, Audrey, let's sit down and see if we can work through this with these boards. Because I forgot to mention this, we use these boards, these connection practice boards. They look like this. This is what I had taught the mother to use. And she said, okay, let's sit down and work through this problem with these boards that we have now. And so they worked through Audrey's feelings and needs and got to her main need, which was physical safety. And then the mother, Jan, led Audrey into heart-brain coherence to get an insight. And when Audrey opened her eyes, she says, well, what came to me is what I'm really scared of is death. That's really it. That's my insight. The mother says, okay, well, let's process that, which was amazing that this mother had the good wisdom to go back and process again. So they put death as the issue and they worked through it. And when they got to the main need, Audrey says, well, you know what? It's connection. I'm so afraid of losing connection with all the people I love because of death. And so then the mother led her into insight again. And she opened her eyes and she said, well, what came to me is I'm afraid of death because my adopted grandma died and I was so close to her. You know, I just loved her so much. And so the mother says, okay, well, let's process that. So they went back again and they processed Audrey's feelings and needs again. And this time she comes up with the main need is belonging. She says, you know, that's what Grandma always made me feel like I belonged in this family. She just made me feel like I belonged. So then Audrey went into coherence to find an insight again, and she opens her eyes and she says, now I know why. It's because my mom gave me away when I was born. I've never had a feeling that I belonged. But right now, Mom, I feel like I belong with you more than I ever have because you helped me work through all this. And now I think I can go to work. I can go to work. And so you see, friends, that this mother became the living Christ, helping her daughter go through 3 layers of fear to get down to the real issue, something they'd never talked about, so that she could drop that mask of fear and face going back to work and feel like she belonged really for the first time in her life, instead of holding it down in there, causing herself to be a germaphobe. That mother learned in no time how to help her daughter drop her mask. So, you know, back in 2008, my husband came to me and told me that he'd had a mask on all his life. All his life. We'd been married 16 years, and I had no idea that he had never felt like he could be authentic, because I just wasn't skilled enough yet to get down to that really deep level where he was hurt. I didn't know how. I didn't know the words to use. to help him drop that mask. And so we divorced in 2009. 10 years later, here in San Jose, I met Ricardo. Now, when we first met, I could just sense that my own mask was popping up, and I could feel something in him too. There was something over that face. And it was because we'd both had painful relationships in the past. And yet now I knew how to take them off. I knew how to take off my own mask, and I knew how to help him get his mask off. And so in a very short time, we were incredibly authentic and learning how to every day be proactive in communicating, you are safe with me and you matter. Being proactive every day. And so, friends, as a result, I'm going to show you another picture here. So over a year ago, August 25th, 2019, we got married at Unity Village. And we are keeping our masks off. We are able to keep those masks off simply because I learned how. I learned how to use the words that melt our masks, that help me keep my own mask off and help Ricardo keep his off too. And of course, now he's learned from being with me, he's learned how to do that mutually with me. He knows how to be proactive in helping me feel safe and that I matter. So, you know, friends, now I could go back into that dream I had when I was in my 20s. And now, if I were to go into that big banquet hall and see all those people with their masks on, I wouldn't have to run. That's all I knew to do before. All I knew to do was run. Now, I know that I could go up to every person and I could give them empathy. I could use the words that would help that mask drop off. That I don't have a need to be scared anymore. That I can keep myself emotionally safe and I can help people be emotionally safe too. And just learned it. Didn't used to know how to do that. Just learned it. And this is when we become that living Christ, friends. We're shattering the mask. And I'm sure that in your own lives, that many times you have been that for other people. For many people in your lives, you have reassured them at that very deep level that they are safe with you and that they matter. And that helped them drop their mask and become authentic. And in those situations, you're just like Jesus. Shattering the mask, making it real. And so I'd like to close with a meditation, friends. Shall we close with meditation? All right, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and drop all of your focus down to that beautiful heart of yours. Just focusing down in the heart. And now let's breathe the breath of spirit in and out, breathing deeply and rhythmically, just allowing spirit to breathe us. And now just feeling the love that's right here in this spiritual community. Just letting the love in. Just feeling the love, the connections. And now I invite you to bring to mind that picture of Jesus taking the masks off the people. Long line of people there with masks on. And Jesus is right there, helping them feel safe and that they matter. And then you see yourself there, but you don't have a mask on. You dropped that mask. And so you go up to Jesus sitting there and you say, I'm here to help. He looks at you. He says, yes. Yes. So he stands up and moves aside, and you take his place. And as you look at the line of people there waiting to have their masks removed, you see someone that you know. You recognize that mask. There's someone there that perhaps has been difficult for you to get along with. Someone that you had a conflict with, someone that you just don't like. And as you really contemplate it now, like Jesus did, you realize, that person just somehow doesn't feel safe, doesn't know they matter. And so you motion for that person to come toward you. You say, come here, come here. And that person comes towards you and is now sitting in front of you. And you lean forward and you whisper in their ear, you're safe with me. You matter to me. And you say it again. You are safe with me. You matter to me. And suddenly that mask drops right into your hand. And you are amazed. You are thrilled. You feel this deep joy in being an instrument of authenticity. That you've helped this person be liberated, and you look at that beautiful face in front of you and you see that person now in all their glory. That beautiful, radiant, spiritual being, that face glowing now with happiness, no longer lonely, free to just be themselves, their beautiful selves. And I invite you to just hold that joy in your heart right now and then open your eyes. So friends, when we sincerely communicate to others that they are safe and that they matter, we do see those masks come off. And so I invite you in the coming week, every time you encounter another human being, whether it's in person or on Zoom, that you are proactive. Find the ways, the words, the actions to show them that they're safe and that they matter. And then you're going to see those masks bite the dust because they will. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Rita Marie. That was so inspiring to me. Got a tear in my eye here. Okay, so now's the time where we get to go into our spiritual cafe, where we every Sunday at 11 o'clock or after the message, we get a chance to discuss anything that resonated with us or about the message or any questions we had. And Rita Marie has agreed to hang on for a while to be with us through that, and we can get to pick her brain and We talk about spirituality, metaphysics, and just all of that good stuff, mysticism, or whatever is on our heart, we talk about. So I'm going to be taking this off of Facebook Live so those of you who are on Facebook Live, if you'd care to join us for cafe, you can now sign in on Zoom. And then those of you who later will be viewing us on YouTube, if you want to see cafe in future Sundays, just join us at 11 o'clock after the talk.